Roberti, and welcome, like always, welcome to Let's Talk Tail Waggers. And as you can see, I have a beautiful guest on my shoulder today. But before we get started, I want to say thank you to my camera person. Thank you, Dave. You know, BPTV is all volunteers, and you are more than welcome to come up and do a show. Learn how to do the cameras, which is an awful lot of fun. Or get screamed at in your ear by a beautiful little bird. It's a wonderful, wonderful volunteering thing to do. If you have just a story or a recipe, something that you're passionate about, please stop up. We really and truly would like to help you. And you meet your community through BPTV. It's really a wonderful little corner of the world. So now I am going to introduce my guest, Kenny, that man with the birds.
That guy with the birds, yeah.
And we had John for years, and he passed away. And Kenny was kind enough and loving enough to take over for him.
Yes, ma'am.
And I bet you that was scary.
Very. And it still is, to be honest with you. It's a very big undertaking. And a lot of people, I don't think, realized, even myself included, being involved with John, just how much work getting the programs together, coordinating all of the shows. You know, Johnny took care of all that, and
it's like having a kid, saying, "I'd like to have a kid," and all my friends have a kid.
That's right.
And then you have a kid.
That's right. And once you get that child, you say, "Oh
like
boy."
Yeah, it's nothing like you thought it was.
Not at all. Not
but
at all.
I wrote you that one note on email that you were just meant to do this. And Mother Nature designed that for you to do, and you just, like I told you, please just relax and go with the flow.
Right.
And it's amazing how things work out.
It really is. It truly is.
Yeah.
And John's wife, Linda, and his family have all been so supportive of me. Behind me, anything that I need, they're always there for me. In fact, we have been actually very busy this last weekend and this week in doing our programs. And Linda was kind enough to come along every day with me and give me that hand. And she's sort of my back voice saying, yes, it's okay. Johnny's watching. He's on your shoulder. Yep. And so it's been wonderful having them.
So who do we have here today?
We have with us today Buttercup, who is on your shoulder. And Buttercup has actually been on the show before.
Yes, that's a baby. She always sits on my head.
That's right. She is an African peach-faced lovebird. From Africa originally. And Buttercup was actually bred to be a showbird.
Oh.
And when she was hatched, they found that she had some deformity with her feet.
Oh, honey.
And her toes weren't perfect, as the breeders would say. Okay. And they wanted to euthanize her. And John said, absolutely not.
Oh, my God.
And worked with Buttercup. And now she is, in a sense, trained to go on top of people's heads. And it's so funny when we do children, you know, they're obviously very afraid sometimes of the larger birds. And we take Buttercup, and we'll take Buttercup and put it on either mom or dad's head, and then it's sort of the icebreaker. And the child says, "Oh, well, that's okay. It's on Mom and Dad's head." And then eventually then we can move Buttercup over onto their head. But
Yeah.
she is a real sweetheart.
She's good. Yeah, she
Loves
is.
to love. We always tell that she likes to sit on top of the tree, and we'll put her right up. That's right. She
She
is the boss.
Nobody knows that, but she's the boss. And
She
who's
is a
this
sweetheart.
beautiful guy here, girl?
This
You
beautiful-
never can tell.
Well, now you have to remember that with not all birds you can tell whether or not they're a boy or a girl.
True.
They have to be DNA'd. They have to be tested.
Did you hear that, people?
Yep. Now, there are some characteristics with an umbrella cockatoo, like Morgan. If the eyes are a different color, like a darker, sometimes that is a male, but that's not always a given. The only true way to tell the sex of a bird is if you have it DNA tested.
I hear you.
And Buttercup is agreeing with us.
She's saying, I love you, I love you.
That's right.
And who is the beauty way up top?
That is Mango. He is a sun conure. And
God.
again, for shows,
Gorgeous.
he is just absolutely loved by everybody. He loves to sit on your shoulder, and he'll just hang out on your shoulder all day long.
Hi, baby.
He really likes to be there.
And his colors, oh.
They're amazing, are they not?
Oh, I wished everybody could see how beautiful they are.
know. But real quick on Morgan, Morgan was actually my first bird.
Oh,
So about 12 years ago,
wow.
I said, I had cockatiels as a kid, the smaller birds,
Yeah.
and I said, I one day just decided I want to get a larger parrot.
Wow.
And I found Morgan on Craigslist. I purchased him in his cage, brought him home, and was scared to death. I had done some research as to what I was getting into, but not enough. But then I utilized a store called C&B Birds, which is where I met John.
Aw.
And Cindy, the owner of C&B, said to me, "You really need to meet John Leege." I said, "Okay, what's he do?" And she said, "Well, he's known as that guy with the birds." And she said, "You need to sit and talk with him." Well, he happened to come in that day.
Wow, see?
And we instantly hit it off, became friends. We had a lot of the same likings, not just birds, but John was very into music. He was a wonderful musician.
Yeah. He played guitar.
Played guitar. He could play just about
Sing.
anything.
Well, yeah, he was truly just a multi-talented.
Gifted all the way around.
Yeah,
Yeah. And but he also had a very deep passion for cars,
Yeah.
which I do as well.
Oh,
So that's what I mean. Our similarities were really
Yeah.
kind of scary, actually.
born under the same star.
I think we were. We were. And so I started asking questions about Morgan and things that I should do and care and what his needs are. And John answered all of my questions and then some.
Wow.
And he said to me, "Why don't you come and help me do a show one time?" I said, "Okay, yeah, sure." And that's kind of where we started. And I now for the last 10 years had done shows with John. A lot of the smaller things he would just do by himself.
Yeah.
But the bigger events, we would travel to Chicago, Detroit, Harrisburg.
He was quite proud.
Oh, yes.
Was when he would come in the door out there and he'd say, "Susie, I'm going to be going here and I'm going to be going there,"
Absolutely.
And it just was like a big kid. He was
Yeah.
just so happy that he was going to go spread the message.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He just was wonderful.
And Johnny was quite the showman also. He
what I
really, he loved to perform, and it was all about the show. Birds first, show second. And
It's true.
And it shined as he did it.
And I think the birds just really captured his heart.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
he was multi-talented with this or that. But the birds, when he would talk about them, and you are the same way, it just came out. You know, like la 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 la.
Yeah.
You know, you just sit there like mesmerized. But
Sure.
I mean, you're not loud or pushy or self-knowledgeable and all that. It's the love, and that just comes out.
Right.
It just, that's like people say to me about my dogs. And they'll always say, how come that dog pulls its chain when you're walking down the street and it doesn't even know you? And I said, that's just because they do know me.
That's right.
And when they go over and I'll go, what you doing, baby girl? And it's like, oh, And the mother will say, oh my God, she never does that to anybody. And it's God, when he created you, put his finger on his forehead and said, you're going to be for this.
It's
and you're
almost
going to
like instinctive.
Yeah.
And honest to goodness, even a year ago, had you said, this is what I would be doing, never in a million years would I have ever.
Yeah.
In fact, Linda and I were just having this conversation yesterday on our way home, and she said, because I had to take a phone call, and when I was leaving a voicemail, I said, hey, it's Ken Sprouse, that guy with the birds. And after I hung up, Linda said to me, she said, it's still funny to hear you say that. Yeah. And I said, Linda, I got to tell you, it's still hard for me to say it.
Yeah,
it really is.
But you're not taking his place. You're
Absolutely
helping him.
Not.
You're helping him.
That's right.
And that's that's the way I feel.
Sure.
Is you're just stepping in and helping, to carry it on.
And we talk quite often.
Yeah. I just had my 20th anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Way.
And I remembered back when they asked me to do a show for BPTV, and there was 2 shows. I was the third. And I was driving home, and I said, oh, sure, because I came up to pay my house taxes, and I wanted to see what a station was like. And when I left, I was doing a show. And I'm driving home down here on West Liberty, and I'm going, what did you do, you stupid? You don't know how to do a TV show. You know. And I got back to my shop, because I styled dogs. I had my own business for 28 years. And Sassy came in, and when her mother left, I always would talk to them like they were people,
Sure.
And I was telling her about, what I got myself into to do this show. And I said, I can't do this. I don't know how to do a show. And when I sat her down on the ground, and she had little bows and everything, and I looked at her and I said, you know something, Sassy? I'm 50 years old, and soon I'll be in a wheelchair in a nursing home, and I'll be sitting there saying, I could have had a TV show. And everybody's going to go, yeah. And I thought, I'm going to do it.
That's right.
And I got on my knees and I said, Lord, if you give me the shows, I promise you I will do each and every one 110%.
Absolutely.
But it's up to you to give me the shows.
Right.
And that's been 20 years.
My goodness.
And I've never had to go looking for them. They just...
Always come to you. That's excellent.
Yes, so that's why I want you to know that you're meant to do this.
Well, and it's kind of funny because I always say to people when they find out that I've sort of taken over, and I said, I sort of feel like Ed McMahon and Johnny Carson, because for years I was just sort of in the background and just helped out, and Johnny was Johnny.
Yeah.
And now here I have to step up. I have some very big shoes to fill.
Well, you don't have, number one, you don't have to step up. You did.
Well.
And like I told you before, I wrote to you and told you that Mother Nature said this is what you're supposed to do because you have the heart, you know.
And yet you do have to have that passion. And it's not really something that you can learn, but in seeing John's passion for the birds, it really inspired me and made me want to learn more and made me want to take care of more.
And he made it so you wouldn't be embarrassed
Exactly.
to show your passion.
Right. Absolutely.
And he was a good leader.
Yes, very
Yes,
much so.
yes. You are a good leader, kid, and we miss
Right.
you. We really do.
We do.
And he's here.
Yep,
I know he's sitting right here, huh?
he is.
Yes. So which baby are you going to show us?
We are going to talk about, let's see,
This
Miss
baby that has a-
Willow here.
Bare belly.
Yes.
Did you
Now-
do that?
One of the things that people don't understand
So cool.
is when a bird gets frustrated or not having enough attention, they will actually pull their feathers out. And that was the case with Willow. I don't know a whole lot about her backstory,
Oh,
but
she's beautiful.
she is, and she loves to give kisses. See? And but we've now had her about 3 months, and we do have her feathers are
she's
starting to
new.
come back in.
She's a new.
She is new, yes.
Oh.
And her feathers are starting to come back in now, and we're really hoping that we can.
Well, where did you find her?
She actually, it was right before John passed that she came to live with him. And John and I, unfortunately, really didn't get to talk about
what
where
happened.
she came from.
Yeah.
So that's why I honestly don't know a whole lot about her backstory. But she, you know, there a lot of the birds that he had, unfortunately, the last couple of months, he had trouble really taking care of them too, and his wife Linda really stepped up to
Stepped
the
up.
plate, and but John never said no. Never, you know, if somebody had a bird that they needed to rehome,
It's true.
Johnny would never say no.
And he told me that he said, I do this only because I know I will be taken care of for
That's
that
right.
bird.
That's right. That's right.
And he truly, honestly believed, you know.
I know. And a funny story, I was actually on my way down south to see my mother-in-law, who was recently diagnosed with cancer. And my wife is currently down there now. But I was on my way down to pick my wife up, and just as I got on the turnpike, my phone rings, and I answer it, and here it's a gentleman who had 2 Goffin cockatoos that he was being evicted, and he needed somebody to take these birds. And I sort of stressed to him that there are some groups out there that he could get in contact with, and he said, no, I want them to go to you. And so what are you
gonna do?
What do you say? So Linda, being the good soul that she is, her and her friend Deb took the 2 of them in, and then they're actually still at Linda's house. She's taking care of them, and then they're ultimately going to come.
Isn't that amazing?
It's really something. It
Yeah.
really
Now,
is.
what story were you going to tell us about that was in a cage for...
Yes. Now that is Beethoven up here,
Hi, Beethoven.
and he is a blue and gold macaw.
Gorgeous.
And he actually spent 11 years in a shopping cart as his cage.
I get sick.
I know. And when we tell that story, people just look at you, and I say to them, honestly, I mean, I can't make this stuff up.
Did they do that just to be mean?
No, what we were told was they
love you.
could not afford a cage, so they decided that they would come up with their own. And I remember John saying that, he said, I asked them, how does the bird come out? And they said, well, he doesn't come out. He's a bird. He's supposed to be in a cage.
I see you there.
And unfortunately, that's some of the mentality of people that they just have absolutely no business owning a bird or any animal, probably. For
Now,
that
this
matter.
is one of John's birds.
It
How
is.
long did he have him?
John got him, I believe, in 2000,
Wow.
roughly around there.
Well, he's been living the good life.
He has, absolutely. And he was vet checked, and even the vet said because of the lack of mind stimulation that he actually deemed him insane.
I believe
That
it.
he thought that, and it's funny because I mean it does seem to be getting better over the years.
He's
but
good.
when you look at him and he looks at you, it's almost like he's looking through
You.
He's
Yeah.
not really
Well,
looking
dogs that are
at
kept
you.
in cages for a very, very long time, they call it a cage crazy.
Right.
You know, and
Yep.
if you take them out and try to walk them, they just go wild.
They have
just,
no idea what
yeah,
to do.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But he seems like he's calm.
He is doing very well.
Yes, and
He
he
loves to
knows
go.
he's,
He goes to every show.
and he knows he's beautiful.
Yep. Him and Jake, they hang out up on the top perch together on the macaw stand, and he's quite the character. A little shaky whenever he comes down off of that stand
Yeah.
because he really he's not completely sure, but the trust is coming, and that's what you really need.
And it only took 12 years.
Exactly, right?
Listen to this, people.
Yes. Yep.
Listen to this, because you can get a little puppy and have a little piece of hot dog, and it'll sit down, you give it to it and say sit, and but these guys here take many,
long
many years to learn something that they're not supposed to learn anyways, because
Right.
they're not humans.
Right.
But don't think that you're just going to go and get one,
No.
and it's going to be, it's going to start talking
Right.
or whatever. And John always went through saying about them screaming,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes.
he said they can hear that for miles through the jungle,
Miles
or
and
through
miles.
the neighborhood.
Right.
And
Yep.
you going back up?
Come on, buddy. Atta girl.
And
These birds are very, very loud. They're flock animals by nature. And even though these birds may not have come from the wild, just as a dog does, they have that built-in instinct. So in the mornings and in the evenings is when they're the loudest.
right.
And when they call or they talk or they scream.
And they're letting their other people know through the jungle, I'm over here.
That's
Yoo-hoo.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And people get angry at them and throw things at them, and you really have to be, I can't even say a special person to have one. You just don't do it unless you realize that you will dedicate yourself to this creature, because they live for a long,
Very long time. A blue and gold like Beethoven up there can actually live to be over 100 years old with the right care and diet.
Yeah, yeah.
And we always tell people, it's not that we condone people owning birds, but we just want you to do your homework. And again,
That's it.
I myself started with Morgan. I had no idea what I was getting into. And that beak is very intimidating. It really is. And it took about a
She's going to
week.
bite.
Yep, it took about a week, and I would let him out of his cage, and he would climb up to the top, and then he would test me to see how far he could push. But it's not a dominance factor. You're not dominant over the bird.
No, he's letting you know
Right.
that I am the boss, and
That's
I'm not
right.
afraid, and I will be your friend, but it's going to take a
It's
while
going to take some time
for me to
Yeah.
trust you.
And so again, in talking with John and getting the education myself on how to take care of these guys, it's been a very long road, and some birds may never turn around.
Yeah,
We do have some that they are not handleable,
Yeah.
and they were never meant to be handled.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
And they were hurt so terribly
So
too
young
that they're never
and
going
right. So you have
to.
to.
And there are dogs that are that way, and kitty cats. I mean, the
Absolutely.
horses. They're just. They do have that forgiving gene that God gave them, but there's just some that are just.
Right.
Their minds would just have been destroyed, and what are
Yes.
you going to do?
Right.
So, except love them and
That's
feed
right.
them,
That's
take
right.
care of them,
Every
and
day.
don't ever expect that you're going to get any more than that. Now, that's the gray parrot, right?
This is Stony, and he is an
Stony.
African gray parrot. He is a Congo African
He's shaking
gray.
for some reason. I don't know why.
He actually, and it's funny because if you're familiar with African grays at all, I mean, they can sometimes be a little neurotic. They are a little iffy sometimes, and their trust in you can sometimes take a long time to build. Now, this was one of John's birds, and I've been working with him, and I actually use him in the program to explain to people about what it means to be a parrot, just as John did with Nikki.
Yeah.
Who is home with Linda, retired, taking it easy, living the good life.
Oh, living a good life.
Yeah, but he
Aw,
is
honey.
once he is set up and okay on my hand, I can walk him around the room, not a problem.
Well, you're getting him out into different places, and I was watching him sitting up there, and he was just a little tiny trembling, like, should I or shouldn't I kind of
Right.
thing. But this is what these birds do.
That's
It
right.
takes a very long time
Yep.
for them to, and if you're going to keep them in a cage all the time and ignore them, it's just brutal.
Oh, it is.
It's a
It is.
brutal,
It's
mean,
not worth it for them.
and why go spend all that money?
True. That's right.
And you bring them home, like someone gets a little puppy at Christmas
Right.
time, and then everybody goes to work, they throw them down the cellar and close the cellar door.
And they're done. Right.
Why do,
No. Well, and that's unfortunately, why we have wound up with as many birds as we have, because people don't do their homework, don't educate themselves to find out how much work they actually are.
And dedication.
Yes.
And you're biting your fingernails.
After 6 months, and sometimes maybe a year if you're lucky, the people call and say, hey, I can't do this. And by then, usually the bird has already developed some bad habits,
Oh, God.
with the possibility, like Willow, of pulling their feathers.
Yeah.
And then what do you do? So now you've got to take even longer just to try to get them back to some sort of normalcy, and then just as
It's
you would
hard.
say, and love them. Love
And guess what?
them. What?
It's time to say goodbye.
Already?
That was John's favorite. Already?
Already?
Yes.
Yeah.
The time goes so fast, but you'll be coming back.
I certainly hope so.
Forever
And
and ever and ever.
I thank you so much for having us on.
Oh, hey, I just couldn't wait.
Getting the word out there about.
Yeah. So, like always, I want to say I love you. If you, like I said, if you have a show you'd like to do, just give it a try. Come up and talk to Dave. Don't forget the Humane Societies. Washington Area Humane Society is my love, and they need sheets and towels and anything that you don't want to give to the homeless, and don't throw it away. Send it down to the Humane Society. They need it for operations and sick dogs and sick cats. They really do need it. I really and truly appreciate all the wonderful things that you say to me, and I appreciate all of you so very, very much. Your friendship means so much to me. So like always, I'm going to say thanks from all the tail waggers.